The drive-in movie theater. Once a staple of American pop culture, it would eventually become synonymous with B-movies, exploitation films, sleaze, and sleazy goings-on. The modern age would try its best to kill this unique cinema-going experience, but try as it might, the drive-in still survives to this very day, far closer to its original roots. In the following mini-documentary, I will discuss the history of the drive-in movie theater. Though I probably won't be able to match the footage with what I'm actually talking about, so I'll show drive-in theater ads and other neat things of the like. Early proto-versions of the drive-in go as far back as 1915, but the first actual drive-in theater opened in 1933 in Camden, New Jersey, offering 400 spots and a 40 by 50 foot screen. The drive-in theater, as it was known, cost 25 cents per car plus an additional 25 cents per person, but this was capped at $1. And the first movie ever shown at said theater was the 1932 British comedy Wives Beware, a film about a married man who fakes amnesia in order to do some womanizing. Much like Last Saturday Night for me, only in reverse. And this amazing new concept, the theater that is, not faking amnesia, came courtesy of Richard Hollingshead Jr. Hollingshead was the sales manager for Whiz Auto Products Company, a family business. According to drive-in theater owner Jim Kopp, Hollingshead had a rather large mother who found movie theater seats a bit uncomfortable. So Hollingshead had the idea of screening movies in the car for her. He then nailed 2 sheets to some trees in his yard, and using a 1928 projector on the hood of said car, the concept of the drive-in theater was truly born. There is also a variation of the story without mention of the mother. In this account, Hollingshead no longer felt challenged at his current job and wanted to branch out. At the time, attending movies was not a family activity. Kids went during the day, parents went at night, and it was a far more formal affair for the adults. So Hollingshead's vision was to combine everything. Parents could see movies, didn't have to dress up, and didn't have to find sitters. The theater even advertised with the slogan, "The whole family is welcome, regardless of how noisy the children are." Regardless of which of the two is the correct account, Hollingshead was onto something. He would begin experimentation, trying to perfect the drive-in in not only the visual aspects, including ramps so everyone could see the screen, but also the sound. Eventually, he would settle on speakers in the projection tower. The drive-in theater, which cost around $30,000 to build, would open on June 6, 1933 on Admiral Wilson Boulevard. Unfortunately, this first drive-in was not a big success. Hollingshead would sell it just 3 years later. Though interestingly enough, the concept would begin to catch on. A second drive-in would open in Pennsylvania in 1934, and soon others would follow in Texas and California. But it wasn't until the 1940s that the drive-in really started gaining traction, and that was because of one simple thing: the sound. But in 1941, RCA introduced in-car speakers with volume controls, offering far better sound for patrons. Drive-ins would continue to grow in popularity, and by 1958, there was over 4,000 drive-ins in the United States, and they were just as Hollingshead possibly envisioned. A wholesome means of family entertainment with an air of informality that the average person appreciated. Parents could bring their noisy children in their pajamas and it wouldn't bother a soul. There were even playgrounds built at many drive-ins so the kids could play whilst the adults watched films. It even got to the point where some featured mini golf courses. And this was just the beginning. Gimmicks were abound at the drive-in, from personal appearances by actors all the way to petting zoos and hot air balloon rides. Things would begin to change though, and for sleazy tiki weirdos like your host, they began to change for the better. A reputation for less than family friendliness began to slowly form. Things started to change in the 1960s, but by the 1970s, because of lower attendance, many drive-ins ditched the whole family-friendly angle and began exclusively showing B-movies, exploitation films, and adult pictures. Not to say this thing didn't exist before. The exploitation film had been a part of drive-in culture since the 1950s, but the 1970s is when it really took off. A part of this came from the cost of rentals. The big movie studios preferred showing their films at indoor theaters so they could be shown several times throughout the day, something the drive-in could not do. So it was just too cost prohibitive to pay the bigger fees and have less showings. B-movies and exploitation films were far cheaper. This led to a golden age of sleaze and exploitation on the big screen. Films were made specifically for the drive-in market. often run as incredible double features. But alas, this golden age of drive-in sleaze B-movie madness could not last. As we moved into the 1980s, the drive-in theater was on the decline once again, and this came due to multiple reasons, including inflation, poor attendance, and the home video boom. By the late 80s, it said that only 200 drive-ins remained in the US and Canada. But as mentioned in my opening rambling, the drive-in would not stay down. Through the 1990s and the early 2000s, nostalgia would come into play and the drive-in theater would gain new life. New theaters would open, not to mention traveling road shows and guerrilla drive-ins. Yeah, that's the kind of guerrilla I meant. And things would come full circle with the drive-in playing big-budget movies once again. As of 2017, I couldn't find a more recent statistic, there were around 300 drive-ins in the United States, 40 or so in Canada, 16 in Australia, and I even read mention of some semi-modern ones in China. I saw several movies at my hometown drive-in when I was a wee lad, and though the original Alien is the only one I can confirm actually seeing there, I certainly remember the drive-in experience well. And finally, an interesting little tidbit I ran across during my research, the aforementioned Jim Cobb actually bought the Raleigh Road Outdoor Theater Drive-In in Henderson, North Carolina for $22,000 on eBay in 2005. And that's all the time we have for this quick little history of the drive-in. So please like, comment, subscribe, let me know some of your drive-in memories, watch the skies, and stay atomic.
It's coming. Here it comes. It's intermission time. Time to visit our concession stand.
Yum, yum. It's a meal in itself. Our all-meat super dog. Enjoy one now.
In the old mail car was fearless Fred, guarding the precious sack, when the bandits appeared from everywhere, our hero to attack. The fight was over, just like that, and up spoke fearless, sack in hand.
I'm awfully sorry we had this spat, but this is Toddy, the chocolate drink that's just grand. Yes, Toddy, the delicious chocolate drink in a can, does taste grand. Ice cold or steaming hot, Toddy hits the spot with everybody. During intermission, at our snack bar, or in your car, see how much better those hot dogs or that popcorn tastes with Toddy.
Delicious.